Coast, now relocated to Charlotte. Give it up for our next comic, Skylar, Schock!
Keep it going for Cam. That's it. Come on, we can do a little bit more. Yeah. Also, thanks, Tim. Now all of us are going to have to explain to our friends and family why we were randomly saying, step right up and whack at the thing. I was like, well, that's going to be stuck in my head for a few days. Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Skylar Schock. Nice to meet you, kind of. A little bit about me, right? I'm the reason Gwyneth Paltrow thought there was a market for a candle that smells like her vagina. Like, I'm just the target demographic for that. Who knows who Gwyneth Paltrow is? Yes, a few people. Those of you who don't know, that's okay. She is to us bougie bitches what Joe Rogan is to crypto bros. I was just like, that is my icon, okay? So in my group of friends, right, I am kind of like the hottest one of my funny friends and the funniest one of my hot friends, which makes me insufferable. Yeah, it's hard. It's funny because I'll have to be reminding myself, like, what group of friends I'm in. I'll be out to brunch or something, and I'm like, hold on a second. If we were trying to get into the club right now, would I need to stand in the front of the line or, like, hide in the back? You know? Because nothing is worse than when you go out with a group of your friends and someone forgets what position on the team they play. You know? You're in the bathroom having to give, like, a halftime pep talk. You're like, listen, Jessica, we get it. You want to score. It's not your night. It's probably not your season. In fact, your best shot is like an assist to Renata. But you know what? Keep your head in the game, stay out there, maybe someone will get drunk and throw you a Hail Mary. I like sports, obviously. Is anyone here a fan of sports? Yeah? Is anyone a fan of football? I love football, right? I'm fascinated by how many grown men will cry. Yeah, not at their team, but just anytime they show Taylor Swift on TV. It's like, okay, why is that so personally offensive to you? You didn't laugh. Do you watch football? Do you get mad when Taylor comes on TV? Sometimes, okay. Can I ask why? Yeah, but it's like in between, right? I'm watching the game, and I like Taylor, but I get it, right? You want to watch the sport. I actually love watching sports for all the reasons, but because they give me a way to explain some of the weird stuff that I say to my boyfriend, right? I grew up in Berkeley, California. That was a temperature check, okay? So no politics jokes tonight. No, I grew up in Berkeley. He grew up in Como, Mississippi. So we are in a multicultural relationship. Anyway, I do say some kind of weird stuff, right? And I use sports as a way to explain it to him. So, for example, in football, you said you're a fan. I'm not picking on you, but I'm just gonna ask you a quick question. So in football, something will happen where there's like a fumble on the field, the ball gets loose. Before anyone has any idea what's going on, both teams start kind of going like this, right? What would you say they're doing? Yeah, I call that manifesting. Right? I'm like, see, babe, they're just manifesting that thing, you know? And I see him at home, he's like a super manifester, because he'll jump up out of the couch and he'll start doing this, you know? I know for some of you, you might look at me and think that I grew up fairly privileged, but actually, you would be correct. So for me, for the longest time, I thought going to court just meant that you had floor seats to watch the Lakers play basketball. I didn't understand that it could mean something else. But before you get the wrong idea about me, I didn't grow up like country club privileged or eggs for breakfast on a weekday privileged. I grew up sheltered privileged. So I'm not rich, I'm just stupid. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you all a story that you're gonna get it. You're like, yep, pretty dumb. So the other day, my boyfriend and I were talking about the best comedy parody songs. Has anyone heard of Lazy Sunday, Lonely Island's Lazy Sunday? We have some of us, oddly, like a strong yes, but if many people here did not. They have not acknowledged it, so not a lot of Jews here. Anyway, that's okay. You don't need to have seen the song or heard about it to know that there's a lyric in this song, again, comedy parody song, there's a lyric that says, call us Aaron Burr the way we're dropping Hamiltons. Yeah. And my boyfriend goes, wow, what a line. And I very confidently did the math. I was like, yeah, Burr, Hamilton. I assume they're referring to the NBA. And he looked at me. I'm guessing a lot of you are in my position because you would have gasped at that. But he looked at me and said, no, Hamilton, you know, like the president. And I said, how would I know? I never saw the musical. See, not rich, just stupid. If I was rich, I would have seen the musical. And I have been telling that joke for quite some time when someone decided to come up to me after a show and said, you know, Hamilton was never president. And I said, how dare you? I already told you I didn't see the musical. Okay? Pretty rude, if you ask me. Yeah. No, we grew up very blue collar. My dad was a garbage man. Nobody cares, that's fine. I loved my dad, but I did get really embarrassed about the fact that he was a garbage man. So when people would ask me what my dad did for a living, I would get very vague and I would say, I can't really talk about it, but he's seen some shit. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I can also tell that there's nobody here from Gen Z because usually they will correct me when I tell that joke. You're actually not, they don't call them garbage men anymore. I don't know if anyone knew this. Not appropriate, it is not an inclusive phrase. What? Yeah, of course not. So I wanted to tell my dad, though. I was like, yeah, I guess that's not what we say anymore. So I wanted to tell my dad about this, right? So we were out to breakfast one day. It's a very, very loud restaurant. Our server hasn't come by. So he and I are already kind of yelling, and he's a little agitated. And I'm like, Dad, listen, you're not a garbage man anymore. That's not what it's called. And he's like, yeah, it is. And I finally was like, listen, whatever you say, you're not a garbage man. You're a garbage person. And that was actually when the server came by. Yeah, so our meal was comped, which was nice. No, I was a daddy's girl, in case you couldn't tell. I was a daddy's girl growing up, so I actually didn't pump my own gas until I was 27. And it wasn't until recently that I learned about things that other people were doing that I didn't even know existed, like changing your oil or getting your taxes done. Yeah, I had no idea. The other day, I had to take my car to the mechanic, right? And he took a look at my dashboard. He asked me to flash my headlights, and I just took my top off. Which was excellent, because we got a deal on the service, which my dad loves. But then the mechanic started listing out all of this other stuff that was wrong with my car. He was like, okay, first of all, your tires need to be rotated. Sir, I rotated them the entire drive here. So I'm watching you. And then he said that my AC unit needed to be recharged. And I was like, okay, do you want an Apple adapter? I have one in the back. Or do I set it out with my crystals in the new moon? And at this point, I could tell that the mechanic was like, I don't know how to talk to this person. And so he asked if there was maybe an interpreter, and I handed the phone over, and I said, yeah, my dad's on speakerphone. And I heard the mechanic. Yeah, already. You know, so do you do the same thing? No. You're like embarrassed, like no. Actually, I do. I don't like when people talk on speakerphone, mostly because I've realized that everyone who talks on speakerphone like doesn't have shit to say. I'm like, if you're gonna talk on speakerphone in public, like, give me some good info here. Anyway, I handed the phone over to this mechanic, right? And I heard him say to my dad, your daughter's timing belt is getting old. And I was like, sir, that's a HIPAA violation. The only person allowed to talk about my timing belt is my gynecologist, okay? And finally, he hands the phone back over, and my dad told me that I was gonna need to go to Home Depot. And I was like, why would I go to Home Depot? Because all I see at Home Depot are all of the unfinished projects I could buy pre-made at Home Goods. So why would I go to Home Depot? That makes no sense. And so I just decided that a better plan was to get hit by a more expensive car and like let the insurance companies deal with it. I will leave you all with this before I get out of here. Oh yeah, and that's also a warning that if you see me slowing down in front of a Mercedes out there, just mind your business. Anyway, I was recently selected to do a TED Talk type event. please hold your applause. No, I was really excited about it, and I was excited until I read the bios of the other people that were going to be speaking, and they were talking about like electromagnetic chemistry and nuclear radiation, and I was going to be talking about jokes. Anyway, I get to the first meeting with the producers of this event, and the woman in charge said, "Okay, great. Can we see your PowerPoint?" And I just went like this. And then they asked me not to speak. Anyways, I'm Skylar Schock. Y'all have been so great. Thank you.